China defends the buzzing of American warship Canadian frigate in the Taiwan Strait. An embarrassing gear shortage. This is the Great White North Report. So over the weekend, China buzzed an American warship and a Canadian frigate that were traversing the Taiwanese Strait, which is the strait between China and Taiwan. A Chinese vessel also cut across an American destroyer in a game of chicken, hoping to alter its course. It would be a dangerous provocation. I think the Chinese are hoping that the Americans fire so they have a reason to go on the offensive. But at the same time, the Americans don't want to be the ones to start a war. It'll be up to the Chinese, and the Chinese are not going to do well. They will at first, because they've been preparing for it for years, but in a long war, just like the one in Ukraine, China's not going to come out well. China has made too many enemies, and they have not fought a real war in over 40 years. Their last major war, their last real war was their skirmish with the Vietnamese in 1980, which didn't last long, and they left the country. And their most recent conflict in South Sudan didn't turn out well when they were sent peacekeepers there. They didn't perform well and caused a review of their entire military. So an American warship and a Canadian frigate made the journey down the Taiwan Strait last weekend, and the Chinese minister says patrols in the strait are a provocation. So the new defense minister, Major Gen Li Shangfu, he told a Shanghai newspaper that China doesn't have a problem with innocent passage, but that we must prevent attempts that try to use those freedom of navigation patrols to exercise hegemony of navigation. So what he's saying, it's okay if like a fishing ship or a merchant ship goes through there, but any military vessels, no. Meanwhile, the United States said that Washington would not flinch in the face of bullying or coercion from China, would continue regularly sailing through and flying over the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea to emphasize their international waters, countering Beijing's sweeping territorial claims. So if you don't know, China claims the South China Sea, which infringes on Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Vietnamese waters. They built artificial islands, which destroyed a lot of marine life to bolster their claims and are being a pain in the ass. So on Saturday, a U.S. guided missile destroyer and a Canadian frigate, the HMCS Montreal, were intercepted by a Chinese warship as they transited the strait between independent Taiwan and the mainland China. The Chinese vessel overtook the American ship, then veered across its bow at a distance of about 140 meters in an unsafe manner. And that Chinese fighters perform unnecessary aggressive maneuvers which intercepted a U.S. Air Force reconnaissance aircraft. That stuff happens. They do it. The Canadians also. It happened to the Canadians as well. The CCP says we're meddling in their internal affairs, which is a joke because they meddle in our internal affairs. Just look at our foreign election interference debate right now in Canada. The Solomon Islands is a key point. They're so quick to say the United States is interfering in a lot of things, but they've started doing it too. So what does that mean for Canada? It means that we're currently in one of the hot spots in the world. We have a frigate out there, and can we easily reinforce that frigate should things escalate? No. We don't have the capabilities. Because over in Latvia, where we have, I think it's 500 soldiers, which would be like a regiment, there's an embarrassing gear shortage as Canadian troops in Latvia buying their own helmets. So they've been purchasing rain gear and equipment belts. That's pretty embarrassing for us. So they've been buying up Gucci gear. That's what they call it. So they're augmenting what the army already gives them by buying better stuff. And they're buying stuff that's more practical than luxurious, given the fact they're taking part in more live-fire training exercises meant to deter Russia from setting foot in the Baltic country. Because if Putin had been able to roll through Ukraine, he might have considered going through Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia to gain more access to the Baltic and to link up with Kaliningrad, that little enclave that sits on the Baltic that's still part of Russia. He might have been emboldened because Belarus is already in his pocket, and the Ukrainians were looking weak up until last year. So the Canadian soldiers have been buying their own modern ballistic helmets equipped with built-in hearing protection that doubles as a headset. They're also purchasing rain gear, vests, and belts to carry water and ammunition, and the number of complaints about the ill-fitting body armor issued to female soldiers has been growing. These purchases, usually made through online retailers, involve brand-name tactical gear or weapon accessories that make soldiers' existing gear more personal or more comfortable to wear. It's a common soldier complaint. It happens in every war. Remember the Napoleonic War? British soldiers, you could tell, a new one. They'd have the old British backpacks with hurts to the chest, and as soon as they could, they discarded them for the better-made French ones. So Canadian troops are grappling with more urgent equipment shortages as well. There's 700 Canadians in the battle group, and they lack modern anti-tank weapons, systems to counter drones, and dedicated short-range air defense systems to guard against helicopters and attack jets. Nothing new there. I don't even think we have anything. These frustrations are compounded by the arrival of more Allied troops, among them Danish soldiers, who are in some cases arriving with Canadian purchased gear that makes them better equipped than Canadian soldiers. So the Danes are buying Canadian-made equipment that's better than what our own Canadian soldiers have. So it's very embarrassing to see. The Danes are carrying more advanced Canadian-made Colt Canada rifles, mounting more advanced Canadian Elk and DR sights, and the fact that most of the systems our soldiers lack were easily available in the open market, not some sort of closely guarded technology. For more than 3 decades, the Danes have been using a variety of Canadian-made weapons, including the C7 assault rifle and the C8 carbine. So the Department of National Defense has been on the defensive on this one, because they've known since 2019 they need to improve the headgear, the hearing protection, and the other problems with the arms. Now they keep saying that for the heavier weapons, the department has embarked on a rigorous and systematic process with requests for proposals going out this summer. Again, that's this summer, not now. We're almost in summer. New portable anti-tank systems will likely be delivered next year. That doesn't help this year. Anti-drone and anti-aircraft systems are still in the options analyst phase, and contracts for them are not expected to be awarded until next winter at the earliest. So again, what this means is we have a problem with our procurement system. Department of National Defense needs to give itself a slap in the head, fuck the procurement system, and go outside the box. In this case, yes. Keep going through the proper channels, but at the same time, go outside the box, buy black market, and get what our troops need if they're in the field, and get them trained. Now is not the time to quibble about what company gets what, as long as they deliver. It's an embarrassing. We're expected to be. That's the problem. We went with peacekeeping so long, and peacekeepers don't need anti-tank weapons or combat drones or anything when they're in the middle of a brush in Africa or Haiti. And this goes back to our lonely Canadian frigate out in the Taiwan Strait. We don't have a battle group anymore. Gone are the days where we could send an aircraft carrier with a destroyer and a couple of frigates attached to it. Now we're stuck with one frigate going on its own, maybe 2 at the most, with no submarine support. In short, Canada cannot do a combined force. We don't have the capability to have both our air and navy at the same time in a far off place. We need to ramp up construction of our frigates. I would almost say forget the last Arctic patrol craft and start building the frigates right now. But no, they're going to finish that contract. I think they're on the last ship anyway, and then they should be starting the frigates, but it's going to take too slow. The Davie shipyard should have been given should have been allowed to build frigates too, and increase the order from 15 frigates to 20. That way 2 are done. Davie can start now and get them done. But opening up a 4th or 5th shipyard would be good. I do know that a lot of the other Coast Guard vehicles, the smaller ones, are going to be built by other shipyards, smaller shipyards around the country, and that'll take some of the strain off the 3 major shipyards. But they're still in the bidding process for those. If anything, some shipyards should be requesting to build parts of the frigates so they can ship them to Halifax, pre-made, as modular. It'd speed up the process immensely. Any Canadians, let me know what you guys think about our lonely Canadian frigate out in the Taiwanese Strait. If war happened, would we be able to reinforce quickly? And what do you think about the embarrassing gear shortages that has Canadian troops frustrated as all hell. Leave comments in the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.